what else have folks been playing this week?
I jumped into Rematch. I saw that I missed the conversation on this, which is fine because I hadn't had a chance to play it yet. But yeah, Rematch, the new game from the, was it Sifu? Is that how you pronounce? Sifu, the developers. A game I didn't play because like there's a bunch of, I forget the specifics of the controversy at launch, but like some shit was going down. I'm like, I'll wait for that to like figure itself out, and then I guess I'll play that game, and I never did. So I apologize for not remembering this. I just know that's why I didn't play
sociologically or like game wise.
No, I don't listen. I don't want to. I don't want to like.
Sure, no, it's all good.
Like
it's all good.
mischaracterize the specifics.
The game is hard. Also, I don't know if you'd like. It's great. Sifu has great like gameplay, but like I didn't want to get that good at the game as it wanted me to get. So I think you're fine.
Well,
copy paste my opinion.
So it's funny. So I got like very in. Like, don't play a lot of competitive games. Got very into Rocket League for like 3 months. Like playing it every day, hours every day.
Damn.
Never felt particularly good at it, but just like there was something about it that I could very much trace back to like platforming stuff, like manipulating the car and the ball, like is like adjacent to a lot of the stuff that I'm very into in video games, and really liked it. And I don't have a particular affinity to soccer, but when people were comparing it to Rocket League, I'm like, okay, well the soccer part is irrelevant to me as long as like I'm also not like desperately wanting to race a car either. But yeah, I found Rocket League really interesting. And so downloaded Rematch. I've played, I don't know, like 4-ish hours of it and had 2 fundamentally different experiences. So when you get into Rematch and you just like hit quick match, right? Like you just want to play, just match make with some randos, like get into it. I'm like, okay. It offers you 3 options. 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, and 5 versus 5. And I forget exactly the language that is used to describe them, but my impression of it, like reading through this, was like, hey, like as you feel more comfortable, move up the amount of players on here, and it's not like a difficulty slider because that's not how a competitive multiplayer game works, but like there's more complexity, and like you should sort of like work your way up through this as you come to grasp with the mechanics. I am here to tell you, you should not spend any time in 3 versus 3, and you should immediately jump to 4 versus 4. I think the progression it implies is incorrect and can lead to like a deeply frustrating first impression experience with Rematch, which is at least the one that I had, in which 3 versus 3, right? You have one like the roles rotate between goals. So you'll either be like the goalie, or what would I call them? Strikers? What would like I actually call the other players?
Could midfielder, just like
midfielders,
people on the field.
They get to run around.
People on the field or goalie.
They get to run around.
Really
you don't have to adhere to like offsides rules or anything like that. That none of that matters. Like you are, it's a and even the goalie can leave, and even someone who's not the goalie can run in.
It'd be so funny though.
Which is what? Oh,
imagining offsides in this fucking game.
There should be a mode.
Like for no reason, there's VAR.
There should be a mode that tries to like impose that on the players.
God.
And so you kind of 2 free runners who are out there on each team, and then the goalie, and that puts an extraordinary amount of pressure on every single one of those players. Like if one person goes up against 2, they're gonna have a hard time. Like and that means like as you're coming to grips with passing or like heading, and like I found it very difficult to be useful like in 3 versus 3, and often I'm spamming I'm sorry I'm sorry and was thankful to be the goalie, because the goalie is like, it's a little less obvious that like it's both obvious and less obvious when you screw up, like because I can just stick here and then I'm gonna guess where I think the ball is going, and hopefully I grab it, and maybe I don't, maybe I do. Whereas like when you like are running out there and like do a bad pass or like completely whiff on like a slide tackle, like you could just like if you are, it is so obvious that you fucked up and like have allowed like potentially great play for the other side. Whereas in 4v4, there you have there's just more opportunity for you to play a little more conservatively and be like a support character for the team rather than the weight of the team being so much on your shoulders. And so what I often found myself being was like I would often hang back like with the goalie ahead of where they are, but I'm sort of like the first line of defense before the goalie like is the last line of defense, and which allowed me to do like a lot of fun stuff where instead of getting so frustrated with my inability to like catch a pass and then line up a shot, well, all I really need to do is like focus on like slide tackling somebody and then getting a pass out to somebody to do something with that. And then I was like literally hooting and hollering in 4v4 as it actually functioned as a more advanced tutorial mode, because this game has a bad tutorial, or rather it has a decent basic tutorial, but not a good advanced tutorial. I desperately wish this game had like a bot mode where I could drop in like, this is what I want to work on, and I need the AI, like I need the other players in here to kind of operate and set myself up so I can like kind of practice this. And what 4v4 allowed me was sort of a petri dish to work that stuff out, and like actually like nobody passes in this game, but like passing is like a huge fucking advantage. Like if you actually competently pass as opposed to just walloping the ball like halfway across the arena, maybe that'll work out. But actually sometimes it's much better to just like pass it like just a little bit forward. Anyways, all just to say, if you're struggling to sort of like, this game is a very steep learning curve. I think part of that is the lack of a more advanced tutorial that lets you really sit with the moves. And 3 versus 3 exerts an enormous amount of pressure on the individual player to be successful. Whereas 4v4, you can be the weak link because you're figuring it out and not feel like the weight of the entire match is on your shoulders. So this game rips. Like, it's so good. Like, I adore this game. And I'm glad I switched over to 4v4. Someone mentioned it on Blue Sky, actually, where they're like, I've been having a bad time. Because I sent out a message. It was like, please don't matchmake with me on Rematch, because my real name is there. So it's just very obvious that I suck at the game, like, constantly. And so, also, so many people in this game use voice chat. Like, I'm always turning it off. But, like, I will say 1/3 of the matches I get into is with a teenager. And there's like, Patrick, pass me the ball. Patrick, you suck at passing the ball. And I was like, I know, wow. I suck at passing the ball. You can mute it, but I find it so funny to listen to anyway, even as I turn off my own microphone. But yeah, I saw the light. Like 3v3, I was going to come on here and be like, yeah, I definitely see how this game is like really cool and people could love it. I'm having a trouble finding my way into it. 4v4, like I'm gonna play this game for 30 hours, like easy. Like this game is really good.
I don't have the emotional fortitude to hear anyone speak to me when I'm playing a video game. I've never heard another person's voice, and I don't intend to start now. So you're braver than me.
Okay. I'm with you, but I highly recommend just like every once in a while turning on someone's voice in this game, because I had this moment. The devil, the angel on my shoulder. No. Because what you're going to experience 99% of the time is just people rage quitting in the funniest possible fashion. So this led to one of my I got up on the couch. It's 11:20. I should be quiet. But I was on the couch and I hooted and I hollered because we were it was 3-2. It was like 40 seconds left in the match, and it was 3-2 because like one of our players whiffed as the goalie was going out to help, left open an easy shot. And the person was on voice chat and like just was like, screw this game, and quit. And the game keeps going even if someone quits. If it's early enough, the game will matchmake someone else into the session. But often the case is like, this was 4v4, now it's 4v3. And so we had this match where like there's 45 seconds left, like I ain't going down without a fight. And I was the goalie, and again, you can leave the goalie spot and go like be sort of like a midfielder and like you could always return to the goalie spot. I was like, we're not giving up this. And it made for this incredibly tense final minute where I had to be defensive, but I also had to leave the goalie spot and be aggressive because we were down 1. So like if they're going down and facing like the goalie plus the 3 other players, there's just not going to be enough space and manpower for them to squeeze a spot in. So the goalie, I would like set up like a long pass, like so that, like there was some action going on, and I could have a good like sense of like where the goalie, if they got the ball, because if you leave the goal open, it's very easy to just kick it across the arena and watch it like hit the other net. It's like I got to prevent that from happening. But then I had to make a calculated choice at some point where like I have to leave that open because it's a numbers game. Like and I'm gonna get out there, and he passed it to me. I passed it to our third guy. Spot was open, kicked it in, like tied the game. It came down to one more shot. We did the exact same thing again, and we won 4-3 down 1. That's like a top 10 gaming moment that I'm gonna have this year. Like it was so like, and like if I could have put in the chat like fuck that guy who left. Like we didn't need you anyway. I would have. So just a really really cool game. So yeah, I'm having a great time with Rematch.
Yay! You actually played more than I have. I kind of had that one session that I need to get back to it because I'm pretty sure MinMax is doing a thing with Giant Bomb, and I want to not get my like ass whooped by these Giant Bomb people. So, but I think the big thing I'd like to see them add, I think their tutorials, the opening tutorials pretty like mid. Their optional tutorials are definitely better. So I recommend dipping into those.
Whoa,
but the real
I didn't see
thing,
those. There's okay.
Unless, so you only did the opening one, like when the game starts.
I just did the prologue stuff and then jumped in.
No. There's other stuff. It's not nearly as good as what EAFC provides in terms of like layers and different really intricate skills. But they do have a couple good ones for like shooting, dribbling, like, and you can also add in bots in there. I haven't done the add-in bots in there, and so I haven't seen how they behave. But yeah, I forget what it's labeled. I'm sure it's training or something or tutorial. Like there's a quick match and there's other options, and one of those other options is a set of different tutorials. Okay. But I think where the game really could use an update, and I pray they would add this because I think it'd be so helpful, is something that EAFC also offers, which is having somewhat translucent, so like not fully opaque, but kind of like a little bit slid down, the buttons. I know that sounds dumb because it's like, oh, it's a video game. You can't figure out how to play it. You hit square, whatever. It's like, yeah, I know how to generally do stuff, but especially things like a couple of the combo moves. Like I'm playing on PlayStation. It's like, oh, R1 and square. It kind of like does it kind of does like a volley or something. Like those little things, knowing that
or in the heat of the moment,
way.
when like you're like tutorials will only get you so far, right? Then you have to do the action like in the midst of something where there's true success or failure. And I know that like I'm playing on a Steam Deck. And like I know, like if you were to ask me, it's like I could tell you the buttons I press in order to do that thing where you like kind of kick it over yourself, and you can and that's a very useful move, especially if you're approaching the goalie. You can actually just like kick it like from behind your back over you into the net. I've watched people do it all the time. It looks very cool. You know what? I forget what to do the moment I have that like 3 seconds of sprinting is what's there, and I'm with you. I would love if I could just have in the corner like, hey, maybe it's like a favorite system. It's like, here's the ones I'm having trouble remembering. Like, keep that up in the UI so that I can glance at the corner and go, all right, I'm supposed to hit right bumper and then A, and then that flips that ball over in a way that I'm just not remembering. Yeah,
because those are all like, you know, famously, anytime, I don't know how everyone else plays the EAFC, but like whenever I get the game for the first time, I spend like a long time like tweaking the settings to make them exact. And obviously Rematch has a more simplified control scheme and option set, but even within that, I think they would benefit from something like that. Which again, a lot of people talk that off in EAFC, like the trainer and all of that. But like I like having it on because that's just how I was used to always playing, and I think it's really helpful. The way they do it in that game is it's basically next to like your player's body, which is pretty like it doesn't really get in the way of anything visually. Granted, Rematch is a lot more zoomed in, but yeah, I think I'm slightly less hot on it than you, Patrick, but I do think the game does an incredible job capturing the thrill of scoring and helping assist and things like that. And I stand by the fact that if you are open to it, I think, and I'm sure for some people this won't apply, but I still stand by the fact that I think scoring a goal is the single most exciting thing you can do in a video game. I know that sounds dumb because it is just a sport, or replicating a sport. Nothing beats it. Nothing. Not sliding, not hitting a good jump in Mario, not clutching, not parrying. No, nothing. Nothing is better than that.
This is your parry. This is your thing.
Like, it's everything. What if you rolled all those feelings into one and it mattered more? Because I think just singularly, like, there's times you clutch in like in a game, generally like in a battle, and that does feel good. It's like, oh my god, like Clear Obscure was the second line, and like I had like, oh, this really has a hit, and I like dodged everything. But it doesn't feel as good. Like, I'm telling you, I know how good that feels, and it does feel good. It does not feel as good as scoring a goal. Like, there is nothing.
Do you require a human component? Does it feel the same when you play against the computer versus being matched with somebody?
It feels basically the same. I think it's a little better when it's a person in the sense that it's like personalized. But I feel just as excited when it's like if it was bots in like EFC, which also that's another thing I think Rematch is missing, which maybe that's what you were talking about, Patrick. Like, there's not a play against bots mode. I know that's something like my fiance Isaiah really wanted because he's like I want to like get good at the game before I start matchmaking with people. And like I don't care about being bad at games. I'm just gonna go in there and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And if it works, it does. And if it doesn't, it's a video game. I don't care. I think bots would be nice to have.
And to his point, what it makes it challenging is like, okay, what am I accomplishing out of this session? I'm being matched up with people, and what you're allowed to practice or try or experiment with is limited by what happens in the match, and that may not line up with what you wanted to. Like, I want to practice headers. Like, I just cannot get the timing down on that. But I want to do that not in a tutorial where it's like, we're going to feed you, like you're hitting like batting practice. Like, we're just going to feed you balls. Like, it's not the same as like in the flow of a match. Every time that I could have done something else that was functionally more useful for winning, I actually just want to do headers and like learn like how I should be moving that, like, and things like that. And so I'm with him. Like, doing it in the actual flow of a match is how you actually achieve any sort of mastery of like implementation. But I'm with him in like desperately wishing this game had like a more like something that simulated like an actual match, so you can like really sit with, because the game has Rocket League is simple but complex. Like, Rematch is complex but comes across as simple. And can you just mostly play this game as like sliding into people, kicking the ball? Yes. And you can have a good time by just limiting yourself to sort of those two moves and like managing your stamina meter. But very quickly you see other people doing like extremely cool stuff, and you're like, wow, I want to do that. I want to do that cool stuff.
I want to be cool. I want to be where the people are.
I never remember to hit, like, there's you can press like the A button or the X button equivalent on PlayStation, like when you're running, because it's a way of like moving the ball around so they can't like just slide into you. Otherwise, sliding, as long as you slide into a person, it's kind of binary. Like, you hit them, ball is, jostled loose. But if you're hitting that kind of almost like the equivalent of a dribble, like in basketball, like there's a chance that like it'll move out of their way and you can continue moving down. It's like, it's difficult to remember all that stuff.
There's nothing like when someone slides against you and then they miss, and it's just like, like,
take that, Dorito Chips 69.
Exactly. You're like, oh man, I'm just like jogging out everywhere. It's funny because I really need to get to learn the actual, like, again, how to execute things, but like I'll accidentally do, like, I had one clip that I posted, it was like my first or second match where I look like I'm a savant, but really I'm just like vibes only. It's like I like did a bicycle kick into the goal, like while the ball was in the air. It's like super crazy, but I think we'll see how it goes now that the game is also out, because I was playing on like the early access phase, which you could argue is like actually the most hardcore people would be in that phase, but I'm not really sure. I was also playing on PS5. I'm going to switch to Steam just to have that option, because there's no crossplay there yet, so I have to like be on the platforms everyone else is on. But so we'll see. Maybe I'll get my ass whooped when I go back in there. But I definitely think having watched soccer like helps immensely, where it's like I can kind of just replicate what I've seen like on the field. But for me, I don't know how you feel, Patrick. Like a last question I have for you is, I think a big part of this game is learning how to work the camera. Like, do you feel like that's been a role in, as a non-soccer person, like what kind of things have you like implemented or had to like work through in getting into Rematch or like getting better at it?
Well, presents as a third person. Like if you played a third person like action game, like that's like, you know, like you have the camera situated behind the character and you have a reticle. I mean, you have a straight up reticle in the game you're using to like sort of aim your shots. I think the thing that I struggle with the most is sort of like the situation, like using the camera to create situational awareness where there's no lock on, right? Like I haven't missed like a lock on.
I don't think
anything,
so.
right?
No.
So as a result of that, like let's say that like one of the very common, you know, sort of setups in Rematch is the goalie has the ball and they're figuring out where they're going to toss it, like whether like a short pass to let someone bring it down, or maybe it's like a long pass or kick to like kind of set it up on the other side. You need to track where the goalie is, where the ball is, and where that's going to be relative to you. And doing that all with like one of those things that stresses me out that I have not been able to get down at all is like when the ball goes like way in the air. How can I like track it while also getting my reticle all the way around to line up a shot that I can then execute? Because many times what happens is I panic and like I end up hitting the ball, but then I like shoot it wildly out of the like not even close to the net because I've become so stressed about tracking it, getting the camera whipped to the other side so I can attempt a shot. And you know, part of it's like I have trouble keeping track of the mini map. I don't look at that at all. I don't know if that's part of your flow of play.
I didn't even know there was a mini map. So I don't think I've been looking at that.
Is there a ground marker for where the ball's going?
There is an icon. There is an icon that like tracks it relative to your position, right? Like so you'll get like a white, you know, the white soccer ball with a kind of yellow circle around it, and that gives you a sense of where it is. But you can't. Like I think there's a lock on in Rocket League. I might be misspeaking, but like there's a way to sort of like track the ball no matter what sort of weird movement interactions you're doing. Rematch lacks that, and so you end up having to do that work yourself.
Yeah, there is a I don't know a good name for it, but like a very like animated style like wind tail to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like moving up in the air, and that's kind of serves as like a bit of a tracking situation, but
I've watched people play this game a bit but not played it myself, and I could have sworn there's when the ball's in the air there's a little like marker on the ground of where it's going to land, which might be the way to like instead of like finding where it's gonna be versus having to like look up in the sky and like kind of move your reticle out of the way might be the way they intend to like kind of skirt around that issue.
I think sometimes there maybe is one. I'm kind of looking at like some people's footage. It kind of depends on like how much air the ball
how high it is
gets.
Yeah.
And like how quickly I think the shadow only appears when it like would realistically appear. You know, realistic is in quotations there because obviously it's like cartooned up, so it's like more dramatic. But I think the shadow might only appear on like the kind of icon appears more on the descent. So I think if you relied on that alone, you probably would be behind. You think you do have to kind of be ahead of figuring that out. But yeah, fun stuff.
It's worth pointing out the developers have this game has been a big hit. Like it's 3 million people have played it, sold over 1 million copies. They've already announced. This was from at this point more than a week ago, but the crossplay is coming. They thought it'd be ready for launch. It wasn't. They apologized for not announcing it sooner. They are adding what they're calling casual play features. Besides new quick play game modes and a rotating game mode queue, we will be working to implement AI-controlled bots so players are able to train with and against AIs in workshops or in dedicated game modes. So it sounds like a lot of the why isn't this in the game? Like they're aware this is an extremely small team, like relative to like would normally be like assigned to a sports title. So they're like they also mentioned like everything we've announced will not be out before the end of the year. Like we're small and we have to prioritize yada yada yada. But so it sounds like they're a little bit overwhelmed, like dealing with the response to the game as well. But like many things, this is probably a game that is actually much better in 6 months, and the success of it out of the gate, I think, ensures that it will be around in 6 months, and so like I think you'd be safe to say this sounds really interesting to me. I'm gonna wait till they get some of that stuff in there. But I will also tell you, this game is fun as hell right now, even without that stuff. And so I highly recommend it. This is not usually the style of game that is my thing, but this game really ended up connecting with me.
If you had Apple TV for Severance, you do have the you can get the MLS pass and watch some soccer
that would be,
in the in-between.
I always see that pop up on my Apple TV. The one thing I would ask you, Janet, maybe to close this out, is what do you think about this game? Because obviously, I feel like I can play this and not feel like I've learned very much about soccer. Because it's the arcade, it's, in the lineage of NBA Jam or NFL Blitz, like it's an arcade-y. It takes a lot of the look and feel and rules of soccer, but then kind of does its own thing with it in the nature of an arcade feel and entertainment. But you really like soccer, care about it as a sport. Is there something about it that you think it captures that might not be, like, I might not be aware of because I'm just kind of taking it in as a game and what it's trying to do as a entertainment product? But do you think is there anything about it that it kind of ends up capturing, despite the fact that it's not a simulation like what EA does?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that, and this probably was part of what makes it appealing, I think the things that captures are the things that you also have recognized, which is like the thrill of executing an idea, or the thrill of dumb luck, which is like also very much a part of soccer.
Sure.
Like there are a lot of, I wouldn't say wacky things that happen in soccer, but there are times where, it's like, oh, like, the best team does not always win. Like that's very clear in soccer. Where it's like, oh, we were just so good defensively, but then they got that one goal in and we never scored again. Like this game has that, this game has the only thing this game doesn't have that I noticed is like kind of a funny thing is there's definitely been times where I've seen something like maybe it's like the goalie or something, or maybe somebody else where I'm like, I'm pretty sure the ball crossed the line into the net and that should be an own goal, but they kind of decided not to make it, which I get because that would be less fun. So I think they give a little bit of leeway in that. I think they also have a lot of leeway in the goalie being able to get the ball. Like there's and the ball in general has a layer almost like platforming where there's like the invisible give that the developer creates so that you don't have to be like perfect at jumping. This game has that with like the ball having a slight degree of magnetism to it. Where it's like, oh, conveniently, it's kind of just like, whoop, that last little bit kind of goes to there. But yeah, I think the only thing this game has that you might not think about or clock if you're jumping in casually and you don't really know soccer and you're just trying to play as a video game is like the importance of strafing. Like you should be like getting in front of a defender and strafing and like eyeing for like not just thinking about I see the ball, I want to get it, but like where could things be going? When is pressure mounting? It's like, okay, well, if there are, simple stuff like if you're towards the outside of the box, okay, you're now closer to the goal, and it's a kind of a dangerous territory, and figuring out those kinds of things. I feel like that's like kind of the only advantage I have in knowing soccer, where it's like, oh, the second I saw how to strafe, I'm like, okay, great, this is how I'm gonna like clock a defender, and I'm gonna wait. I'm not just gonna be mad spamming the slide because I know if I miss it, it's gonna take me forever to like get back up, and things like that. The importance of the putback too, like a big part of scoring in real life and in this game is like, a dream denied is a dream deferred or whatever. May I flip those? But it's like you missed. Keep an eye on where the ball is because you might be able to get like a quick poke back while like the keeper's on the ground, and stuff like that. I think this game definitely captures really nicely. And if you start to recognize those things, you'll probably be a better player for it because like what to look for. But hopefully I can use people's disdain for soccer to my mechanical advantage to clean up. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm a little scared to go back in now that the game has been out for longer, but I feel like it's casual enough that you can still have fun, find things to do. I'm not too worried about like it being so sweaty because it's still hard to score a goal, I think. I definitely think them having golden goal helps too for all the like, why can you tie in a sports game people? So it's like, fine, they put golden goal in there so you guys can stop crying. So, which I'm fine with golden goal. Golden goal is fun. But I think it makes sense to not have it like in every freaking regular season game because it'd be insane and very tiring if everything went to golden goal. But yeah, excited to continue playing it.
Anything else you want to hit before we go to the mailbag?
Yeah, I have a brief one with I've been playing Squeak Cross. Let me get the full name because I think it has a sub name. Squeak Cross. This is the Pick Cross, but you're a rat. Squeak Cross. Squeak Ross.
God, that's all
Home, Squeak
in.
Home. It is honestly, it's so good. Okay, again,
Well, I
it's
was
a pretty
just-
simple
You're a
concept.
Last night
you
I was
say?
playing.
You're a rat.
I solved 70 Pick Cross 5x5 tiles just idly sitting in a voice chat because
Oh, you need to
someone
get this.
linked it to me. So yeah.
Yeah, this is. I think if you like Pick Cross, this is like a must-play game.
Picture of Despelote, a skeleton sitting in a chair.
It's like the underwater, but look.
It took me.
Chia, clear. Don't worry about.